Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty at a Haggerty10 on the Twitter handle, as you all know. I'm joined today by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay on the Twitter handle, as you're getting to know. Young Ryan, how are you?
I'll always take the young Ryan, Tony. Thank you very much. I'm doing okay. How are you? You all good?
Very well, very well. Yes, 72 hours, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 3 more sleeps, I think it's called, Ryan, isn't it? For the big
That
game
is.
of association football in Mount Florida, the Hampden Bowl, the Scottish Cup final, Celtic versus Inverness Caledonian Thistle, treble on the line for Celtic. Excellent. We'll get to that. We'll build that up, and we'll start building up from today. But first and foremost, guys, I direct your attention, as we always do, to the strap line running along the bottom. If you want to subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support top quality football journalism, you can. We'll endeavour to cover the club you love, and all you have to do is click that button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Ryan, Hampden, Saturday, all roads lead to there. Can't wait. What about you?
Yeah, I'm the same. It seems as if we've been leading up to this ever since final whistle on Saturday. We knew we had a week to go until the big day. Saturday was obviously a good occasion, but it's all leading up to this big momentous occasion at Hampden on Saturday. I'm really, really looking forward to watching the game and hopefully seeing Celtic create some more history this season. You know, it's been a really, really good season so far. We've won everything that we could win with regards to domestic competitions. So if we can win this one, then it would cap off what has been a great second season for Ange Postecoglou and his players. So yeah, really, really looking forward to it, and hopefully they do the business when it comes around.
Right, guys, want your Scottish Cup final memories, your favourite Scottish Cup final memories as well. Put them in the comment section. Ryan, you got any particular Scottish Cup memory
Oh,
that
easy.
stands out? Yeah, easy going then.
Yeah, it's got to be Tom Rogic for the invincible treble. That is without a doubt, the best game I've ever been to. Not in terms of maybe the way the game was going, because obviously we conceded an early goal due to Johnny Hayes, who then joined us about 2 weeks later, it felt like. But yeah, to get the goal back so quickly from Stuart Armstrong, and then the way Tom Rogic to seal that invincible treble, he basically runs through the whole of the Aberdeen team and then slots it past, I think it was Joe Lewis in goals. Yeah, I think I must have fell about I fell down about three sets of seats hugging people randomly. But yeah, it was one of those ones. It was absolutely brilliant. What a day! It's one that will definitely live long in the memory. That's for sure. I think that picture of Tom Rogic celebrating, pulling his shirt. That's one of the most iconic pictures in recent Celtic history. For a guy that didn't really celebrate goals that often, that celebration is absolutely iconic from him. Yeah, that's my favourite. There have been other ones, but that's the one that really does stand out to me.
It's funny because I wrote a chapter about that in the first book that I wrote, Going to Use a Kick Your Ball, Mister. And yeah, it stuck out for me, and that was when the lightning struck, wasn't it? You saw there was a picture of the lightning strike just as he was hitting the net, and
Oh, amazing.
my nephew at the time, who'd always we I go to the games with my father and my nephew, and my nephew at the time said to me, "That's the most mental I've ever seen you go. You're normally so reserved." And I think, like you and like everybody else at that goal, I think every Celtic supporter just lost it, the invincible treble. And I wrote in the book that I was a cross between the Tasmanian Devil and Yosemite Sam. I really couldn't tell you what I did, but my nephew said that you went absolutely off your rocker. And I thought, yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant. And I think goals like that and moments like that, as Anne said, they're the beautiful moments that you celebrate, uh,
without a doubt.
and you remember them.
Yeah, I think it's quite poetic, because Rogic had two of the most important kicks in those 2 years, because the season before he misses the decisive penalty against Rangers in the Scottish Cup semi-final, which prompts Celtic to sort of get a grip with, in all intents and purposes, and go and sign Brendan Rodgers. And in the season after, he's the one that scores the decisive decisive goal to win the unprecedented Invincible treble. So yeah, it was definitely quite poetic in that sense for Tom Rogic, and it couldn't have worked out any better. I wouldn't think.
I think that's what's called a redemption shot, Ryan, isn't it?
Redemption arc, yeah, it's definitely a redemption arc from Tom Rogic. What a turnaround he had, because it looked as if he was on his way out as well. Maybe a couple of seasons before, I know Ronnie Dyler sort of revitalised him and had him in the starting 11, but it was Brendan Rodgers that really was the making of Tom Rogic. I remember him playing specifically against Man City the season after, and for 60 minutes he totally ran the show. It was always his fitness that was the issue, but yeah, it was a total redemption for Tom Rogic, and I couldn't think of a better person to score the winner at Hampden than him.
Right, I've started a few comments. Guys, get your Scottish Cup final memories in, your favourite ones, or whatever memories. Just throw them into the comment section. We'll endeavour to read them out. Marky, he's getting that Christmas feeling about Saturday. Brian Roberts, morning Brian, morning Mark. Final fever kicking in. Edward Wyavor saying Billy Dodd says the Scottish Cup was about miracles and fairy tales. He's so pessimistic. Hey, don't rule it out.
I think he's realistic.
Yeah. Max Stark, Rogic winner against Aberdeen, same as yourself, Ryan. Sarah Horn says how amazing it is to be a Celtic fan. Hail, hail. And Les D saying, love your books, Tony. That's very kind. Thank you very, very much for that. And Sarah's come back in. Morning, Sarah, how you doing? That's my favourite too. The joy and love Big Rogic celebrating. And Gordon Coney saying it's one of those moments that will live in Celtic's history forever. Totally agree with that. And Plunge McNugget saying Tasmanian Devil and Yosemite Sam, are they not the same thing? Don't think they are. No, they're different characters, but they're famous for going absolutely nuts. So yeah, I was a kind of hybrid of those two because I just went absolutely nuts. don't mind admitting that. So,
you went loony.
Yeah, I went Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes, basically, yes, good shout. Right, I went Looney Tunes, basically, if you're going to keep the cartoon analogy. And my nephew pointed that out to me, but I couldn't tell you what I did because it just can't lose it then so be it. I'm normally quite reserved and a mild-mannered janitor, but I'm glad to say, like everyone else inside Hampden that day, I wasn't. And Michael McDonald coming in, wee Joe Miller knocking that one in from a great pass from Gary Stevens. Good cup final weather that day too. That was the same day that Big Roy Aitken stole the throw-in, wasn't it? That belonged to Rangers. They played on, and Gary Stevens misplaced the pass back. Joe smashed it into the net. Celtic won the Scottish Cup final in 1989, I believe that was. And then there's only two of the guys from that Scottish Cup final are still here, McGregor and Forrest.
Wow.
That's the
Time flies.
Yes, indeed it does. Now, I, like you, Ryan, I can't wait. Even as you get older, you're meant to deal with these things, in a more mature manner, but I can't wait for the cup final either. Just privileged position I'm in as well to be able to cover it as a working professional, but I always enjoy them. They're just wonderful occasions, and I think Angie's right. You live for beautiful moments in football, don't you? And there's potential for another beautiful moment to happen on Saturday, certainly from a Celtic persuasion, and it'll be a beautiful moment for Inverness Cali if they happen to run out winners, right?
Yeah, absolutely. These are the big showpiece games of the season. These are the games that you work through or you work towards. I mean, how many games do you need to play to get through? What is it, 4 or 5? That sort of thing. Obviously, teams need to play earlier as well. Some teams, so they have an even longer route to the final. But yeah, it's the last game of the season. You know how it feels when you're not involved. Obviously, last season Celtic weren't involved, and their season just stopped after the league, which was really disappointing. So it's been great that we can sort of talk about the treble and talk about how we elongated the season because we still get a game to play in the Scottish Cup in the final at Hampden. It just adds to it, and it keeps it keeps the feel good factor going. And hopefully that feel-good factor... Well, the feel-good factor was obviously accelerated as well because we played well on Saturday, but even if we hadn't and we'd just got over the line, we would still be buzzing about this game. And yeah, I think it takes care of itself, this fixture. It's one of those ones that you expect Celtic to come out and put on a show because it's a final. I've been in this position before. You just hope they can go and do the business when it really matters.
Derek Lanky comes in and says he's replying to one of the commenters, he's saying, don't underestimate Inverness Garlic Thistle because they've got nothing to lose. Totally agree with that. You never underestimate your opponent, regardless of who it is. It's a final. They're in their own merit as well. The world record they've broken will make this one unique. Happy days. Yes, that's an 8th domestic treble. No club in world football has won 8 domestic clean sweeps. That's what's at stake for Celtic on Saturday. Ryan and Chilpel says Celtic turn up Saturday and play to their best. They win. It's that simple. I think it is that simple. But based on that premise, you have to turn up.
Yeah, you have to. I've always said it. It's a bit of a cliche from me, but if Celtic turn up, they'll win the game because you know what Celtic are like when they're at their very best. There's not been many teams that have been able to stop Celtic when they've been at their best this season. When we are at our absolute optimum and peak, we look very, very dangerous in every position. You would say, you'd think our defenders have a chance of scoring, and midfielders chip in, and obviously Kyogo, if he's fit, he'll score goals. If we don't, we've got a deputy in O. The wingers scored goals. We've got goals all over the park. If we play to our best, I think it'll be too much for Inverness, but you never know in a cup final setting.
Now, speaking of if Kyogo's unavailable, you wrote the newsletter, Ryan, didn't you, on
Yes.
An able deputy. I'll put that into the comment section there, guys. You can have a read at that. Ryan's thoughts, some stats bombing in there as well. And you made the case for O to just basically pick up the cudgels if Kyogo is unavailable. And I texted you yesterday, didn't I? We were speaking off air yesterday, and I said to you, you should have ended that with, what is it the Celtic fans sing, watching Glasgow Celtic putting on an O? And you were like, that, I probably should have said that.
Yeah.
There you have it. But you've made the case for him very well. You want to have a read at that, guys. It's an excellent piece, just sort of saying what he brings to the table. In the unlikely event that Kyogo is ruled out, remember Ange Postecoglou said he played a final with one leg before, so so the chances are that he'll be there, so.
Yeah, I think it's got to be underlined that I'm not. If Kyogo is fit, then Kyogo plays. I would not. I'm not that mad in the way that I'd be saying to play O instead of Kyogo. I want Kyogo to play. It's just if he doesn't, and if he isn't fully fit, or if he isn't fit to lead the line, then we've got a very, very capable backup in O, who is starting, I think, to really impress in this team. And the signs are there that he's going to have a really good season next season.
Yes, correct. I totally agree with that, Ryan. I think there's the raw material there, and I think he's beginning to show what he's about, and he's enjoying it now, and he's settling in and showing that he's kind of comfortable in his surroundings now, and I think he will. If he, like Jack and Mac, is just waiting in that wee run of games, but I think if he does get a run of games, he will certainly show more, and he'll score more. Now, also on the website today, your old guy has been having a wee pop at those who call Scottish football and the Scottish Premiership the Farmers League or the Farmers League. Have a read at that, guys. You'll enjoy that. Talking about Celtic being a big club, Leicester City and Tottenham Hotspur masquerading as big clubs. Yeah, you'll have a wee kind of. There you go. Kaiser coming in there, seeing Tony's bit on why Ange should stay. Great read. So yeah, it's my thoughts. Just that it really gets to me when I see and read and hear people calling Scottish football the Farmers League or the Farmers League, if you want to be RP and pronounce it right. But and these clubs getting a conceit of themselves, and I've kind of addressed that a bit in terms of the Hotspur link. Ryan, yeah, on you go.
Yeah, I think it's quite funny when people call it the Farmers League, considering the greatest manager in Premier League history came from this Farmers League. So it's one of those points.
I think I mentioned that, and I also mentioned another North London club who plundered Kieran Tierney for 25 million quid. Celtic's world record transfer fee. It's funny how they turn to the Farmers League when they want managers and they want players. These are all things I've mentioned in that. So have a read at that, guys. You'll enjoy that. And also have a read at Ryan's piece on O. You'll enjoy that too. We endeavour to bring you, as it says on the tin at the bottom, quality journalism covering the club you love. We endeavour to do that. So that's a couple of things that are on the website today. Get your teeth into that. As I say, you'll enjoy both. But Ange Postecoglou was also speaking, Ryan. He was talking about, the Champions League and ins and outs. And this is what he said. Came away with a quite interesting analogy. He said, I was trying to be predictive with the January window. We kind of knew Josip Juranovic and Georgios Giacomakis would go. We are losing two very good players who had contributed greatly to our success. But was it an opportunity to bring in a couple of younger players who might have a higher ceiling? You don't know, but the opportunity was there. We thought Owen and Alistair both already looked like good players. They are younger than the guys who left, so potentially could have a higher ceiling if we got it right. That's always a challenge. And he's talking about this summer, saying this is probably the first window where we'll get really tested on some of our key players by other clubs. Our planning is in place, so if that happens, it's like the Jenga puzzle. Before it all collapses, we'll hopefully already have a piece in place to ensure that you can take one out and still build strong. I like that Jenga analogy.
Me too.
Doesn't sound like a man who's, I don't know, heading north of the border, does it? Sorry, south of the border. Just off the top of my head. But obviously, I think this was, Ange spoke about this after Saturday because it appeared in all the newspapers. So I'm assuming that they kept that back and held it for today. So, but it sounds like a man who's doing his conscientious planning, Ryan, and still has his hands all over what's happening with Celtic and moving them forward and making them Champions League ready, as they say.
Yeah, two beautiful words. Contingency plan. It's something that I've been desperate for Celtic to have for years. We've seen this in the past where we've been gambling on players, they'll leave, and then we've got Champions League qualifiers. So we're in a really, really rubbish position, playing beat on at centre half and stuff like that. It's great to know that if one of our star players does get a move away, or he does get a good offer from somewhere and he has to go, or the club have to take that offer, that we do have players coming in, or we have get players lined up to come in as their replacements, maybe even before they've left, which is absolutely brilliant. It shows that there is a system now in place. It seems as if they've learned their lessons. I don't want to say that too early because you never know what happens with players, but it seems as if they've learned their lessons of the past and they know now how to sort of schedule these transfers and schedule them correctly so that there isn't that sort of reverse Jenga effect that you're talking about. I really like those comments that he'd made about bringing younger players in because that's so important for player values. Look at Juranovic and Giacomakis were both 28 when they left Celtic. That's the prime age to that's probably the last sort of age that you're going to get a good fee for those two players because any later their value drops. You just know that's what happens in football. So to bring in a 22-year-old in O and a 24-year-old in Alistair Johnson, that's covering ourselves well for the future. It's good. And those comments about them having a higher ceiling, I love to hear that because Celtic have got to be planning and we've got to be looking at where we can get the best profit for players as well as the best value and the best value on and off the pitch. So, yeah, it bodes well for the future that we've sort of got younger assets in there that arguably are doing as good a job, if not better, than the ones that they've replaced.
I always say it, Ryan, listen to the man. Listen to the main man. He signposts it, he tells you what's happening. He's quite, as he said himself the other day, he's not cryptic in any of his answers. So lots of comments coming in about a myriad of things that we've just spoken about there. So I'm going to read them out because I like to get you guys involved. Michael McDonald, don't give Inverness too much respect. Give the fans a show. Marquis, it's a cup final involving Celtic. It's all good. Patrick Post saying, win 7-0 and we'll have two records in one go. A wee tongue-in-cheek one there. Kaiser, morning Kaiser, how you doing? Pouring on the agony, turning on the style. And then Marquis comes back in with reference to the Farmers League. I think we can't all have a rich sugar daggy. That's exactly what I think as well. Plunge McNugget, we're a backwater apparently. Apparently we are, Plunge, yeah. But talking about, they keep coming up here and, pilfering players. Patrick Post saying it's worse than it's a Burton Albion fan calling it a Farmers League. Yeah, can you go that? And David Ferguson, if it's such a Farmers League, you think you'd want to keep the best managers in it, not in Scotland, though. Patrick Post saying, I've seen them call other leagues in Europe the same thing. The arrogance is sickening.
Same with France as well.
Yeah, Chill Pill saying Farmers League, yet they never stop poaching our youngsters. read the piece, Phil. You'll find my thoughts exactly. And then talking about the Jenga stuff. Do you think Ange's a shopping list already? And if so, is it based on who goes from the fringe players? That's from coming in from Robert Wallace, Morning Robert, and David Ferguson. What bit of "I will be here longer than most people think" do they not understand? Ange did say that, and he also said, and then they'll write about it. He has a lack of ambition because he doesn't want to go anywhere. So, and Podrick Post coming in just saying, who was the last Englishman to manage a winning top flight team in England? That tells you everything.
It was a while ago.
Yes, it was indeed. So yeah, just lots of comments coming in on that statement. On age, he was saying Kyogo's 28. Robert Wallace saying that we were talking about.
I think
Obi 24. Yeah.
Yeah, O's 22 and Alistair Johnson's 24. So
Yeah.
I think Kyogo's the exception. I think I'm going to make a statement here. I think if Kyogo doesn't go this summer, he'll never go. I think he'll stay. He seems very happy with his lot. I think he's at that age now where his last move is this summer. If he doesn't move now, I think we sign him up to a new deal and he becomes the sort of, the sort of exception to the rule in terms of age profile. I think you can still build your team around Kyogo. He's that important. You'll make your money on the goals that he scores whenever he plays in the league, maybe even European as well. He'll get more of a chance next season. So, yeah, I would be keeping Kyogo about in the most uncontroversial statement. I would be keeping Kyogo around.
Yeah, I'm sure, Kyogo loves it. He never tires of saying he loves it, and he's found a real home. And I think, as you say, if he doesn't go in any of the next 2 or 3 windows, I think he's here for the long haul. The underwater cabbage salesman, I really do love that title. Ange's brought genuine succession planning. I think he has to. Myself and Sean used to bang on about that on the briefing a lot about succession planning. We were talking about it here, Ryan. John McCauley comes in. McGarvey Heather versus Dundee United 1985 Scottish Cup final. He'll hail the Government Emerald CSC. That was my first Scottish Cup final that I attended as a supporter. Ryan, I was 12 years of age. It's a wonderful day. It's my sister's first Holy Communion day, and my father's team won an important semi-final to get through to a cup final. It was just one of those days. There was people upside down on the ceiling. The party lasted for, it felt like a week. It was probably just the whole weekend, but it was just magic. Basically, it was a great weekend. So, still reading some comments here. Guys, I've starred a couple. And then Michael McDonald. You'd hate to be a farmer watching this. I do like that. And John McCauley comes in. The Celtic Inverness, the handball on the line in the semis that stopped Ronnie Dyler's treble. That was Josh Meeking's handball 2015 from Lee Griffiths' header, I believe. And many of the officials didn't see it, Ryan. They had the 2. So there was the 4 officials and the 2 on the goal line, didn't they? Or the byline, whatever you want to call it.
Scandalous. Absolutely scandalous.
6 of them, and they still didn't see it. So, hey, there you go. Is that what we put down to a kind of honest mistake, was it?
But I'm happy to see that Ronnie Dyler's doing really well as well. He's away at Club Brugge now, so he's definitely making his way in his managerial career. So good on him. That's a good job for him.
Correct, and I think Celtic supporters hold Ronnie Dyler close to their hearts as well. He won 2 of those titles, second 9 in a row, and the Ronnie Roar at the Allen. He was just a wonderful fella. Les D comes in. Really believe Ange wouldn't leave midway through the building of his ambitions to take Celtic to success in Europe. As you say, Tony, listen to the man. I'm always listening to the man. We always listen to him. As I say, yesterday there's only one man who can decide where he's going. I think he'll tell you when he's going. Could be wrong in that, but hey, underwater cabbage salesman Ronnie Dyler for Spurs.
How Bruce would feel about that, considering they just signed them last week. That'd be a quick impression. Just going back to that point about the Angel Tellers. I mean, he did leave halfway through the season at Yokohama, and he did leave right before a World Cup for Australia. So he does have previous when it comes to going on his own accord. But you just hope that you just hope that he's built up much of a rapport that he wouldn't do that to the Celtic supporters and the Celtic board. But you never know. I hope he stays for a very, very long time.
Larsson in his final game, 2004, Scottish Cup final against Dunfermline. He won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was at that as well. I remember that. Celtic were.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't actually. I kept it together both times. Even the 2 goals he scored against Dundee United, I just knew that it was the end of an era. You just, you deal with it and whatever. I think I was one of the few who didn't cry. Just sort of took a deep breath and said, "Okay, we will never see his likes again," and came to terms with it in my own way, So, but yeah, I didn't blame grown men for crying and children for crying because he was a sensational footballer, and 242 goals in 315 games says it all, Ryan. So, yeah, I mean that was Celtic were losing to Andrew Skeller's goal, weren't they? And then I think Bobo punched the ball and Celtic ran up the park and Henrik did what he does best, just curled one into the bottom corner, and the rest, you just knew what was going to happen after that. So, yeah, that was his last game, double in the Scottish Cup final. Henrik was the man, as we all know. Cried like a baby when Larsson left. There you go, Ryan. Did you cry when he left, Ryan? Were you?
It wasn't me. I wasn't really into football at that point. I was a bit of a late bloomer when it came to football. I only got into it when I was sort of 9, 10. I would have only been about 7 at that point. It was because I started playing FIFA. That's why I got interested in football. But man, I can't say the same for my dad. There were a few tears were shed when Larsson left for my dad. Shout out to him.
Ryan was a baby, says guys. Indeed, there you go. No, I was a bit more mature and adult about it. I don't know why. Because every time I think about it now, it makes me want to cry. It's just like,
I've got to say, I did cry. That invincible treble, the Aberdeen, I did have a couple of tears in my eyes when that game was over. I just felt like the beginning of something.
Yeah, I mean, I think the invincible treble was something you knew you would never see again. That's just not going to happen ever, and that was a snapshot in a moment in time, and that was special. So, tears of joy, I can understand that as well. David Ferguson, he's still not over Larsson leaving. Hey, it affects us in different ways, doesn't it? Michael McDonald just gave us a wee run in the betting there, saying Rodgers is going into 74 and Ange at 52. I'm only assuming that's for the Tottenham Hotspur job, Ryan. Yeah, what you want into these things. The reason the bookies prices odds up is because of the interest, So yeah, there you have it.
It's not the best look for Spurs, I've got to say. They seem to be going down the same road that Celtic were 2 years ago, with regards to not having a manager in X amount of days. They actually sacked their interim manager, which is how bad it was getting for them. It's a bit of a mess down there. It is an attractive job, but at the same time, it's one of those. I think it's a poison chalice down south. I've got to be honest. I think managers know what they're going into when they go to Spurs. It's not the easiest job in the world, not the easiest fans to keep happy. So I'll be watching that one with a keen stare.
And Kaiser came in saying he also cried when Larsson won the Champions League. Lots of tears for Larsson and in general today. Lots of tears. This is a happy place. It's a happy environment. We want happy memories. We remember and we respect Larsson for what he did. But hey, that was then. This is now. He still struggles to watch footage, Tony. I'm a grown man for crying out loud. Michael McDonald saying he's still in group therapy for Larsson. Guys, come on. It was a while ago.
Now?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's every era spawns somebody. I know there'll never be Henrik Larsson. There'll never be another Henrik Larsson. I get all that, but you have to accept it. That era's come and gone. You enjoy it and you enjoy it. Yeah, the eras that are happening now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just that era of football is done. You won't ever. I don't think you'll ever get that loyalty from a proper world-class striker again. He could have left. He could have went wherever he wanted, basically, but he chose to honour his contract and stay till the bitter end. And, I still can't believe there's not a statue outside Celtic Park yet. I think there should be eventually. I mean, he's our greatest ever foreign player. I don't think that'll ever be changed.
No.
So yeah, I'll look forward to the day where that's unveiled, hopefully.
Yeah. Now, David Ferguson says, "This is my generation's Dalglish moment, Tony. Remember how you felt back then?" I was 4 going on 5 when Dalglish left. In fact, I would be 5 years of age. So yeah, I do remember my heart being smashed to smithereens when Kenny Dalglish left Celtic. Do remember that, yeah. But I was a young guy, so I'm allowing for the fact that as a kid, I reserved the right to burst out crying because he was my first kind of football hero, and then I kind of realised, football heroes leave your club. That's the nature of the game. And then I kind of thought, okay, I'll adopt another hero, and that was Maradona. So I thought he'll never really leave. It doesn't really matter where he goes. I'll just love him, that kind of thing. So yeah, and then Charlie Nick originally came along, and I was kind of Charlie Nick, and he left. So like never again. The hero worship thing. So there you go.
For you, it seems like strikers. For me, it's midfielders. I've always loved watching midfielders.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the most important positions on the pitch. Right now, it's Cal McGregor. Obviously, Rio Hatate is my favourite player in this Celtic team. But even going back, remember when I got my first season ticket? The season after that was when players like Berham Kyle came in. I really liked watching him. Liked watching Stefan Johansson, Stuart Armstrong, all these sort of players. I've had it quite good in the past couple of years with how good our midfielders have been. But yeah, I know people really like their strikers, but for me, it's midfielders. I think they're so important in this team.
Yeah, I think most people of my age will tell you about Paul McStay, Big Roy, guys like that, So yeah, more comments coming in as well. So Plunge McNugget, he says he was 11 when Kenny left. Yep, and Michael McDonald mentioned a guy there. Big Roy leaving for Newcastle shook his world at the time. Les D. He was 13 in 1988 at Hampden, 2-1 against Dundee United, McAvenny brace. Yep, and giving it to Thatcher. Yes, with the poll tax song. Yep, I remember that big time. Yeah, and Plunge McNugget saying he still hasn't got over King Kenny leaving. Yeah, it's amazing what Scottish Cup memories and things bring, Ryan, isn't it? We are everything.
Memory lane.
Guys, loving your comments. Keep them coming. Saturday can't come quick enough. Just one of those occasions where you're looking forward to, and I'm ignoring all the outside noise about managers and stuff. Like the manager, I'm focusing on Saturday, Ryan, and trying to achieve something that no other club in world football has achieved, and I think that would be a wonderful thing for Celtic and the supporters.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is. Sometimes you can't help yourself but get involved in all the noise that goes around it. As football supporters, we're allowed to do that. We're allowed to dream about stuff. I know it sounds dream as if it's not likely to happen, and we know that we are the favourites going into the game. But as supporters, you're allowed to overreact and look forward to these games. But I'm sure the same won't be happening in the Celtic dressing room and at Lennoxtown. They'll be laser focused on the job they've got at hand, on what they need to do in order to go out and win the trophy. And I'm sure they'll treat it just like any other game, as they've done all season. We've seen that. They've been so consistent over the vast majority of this season, so I don't expect any different.
Patrick Post, he was 9, a day I'll never forget. I think that was when Kenny left. And 420 somewhere saying, all these men leave me to sort of Kenny and Charlie. And Robert Gibson Aitken was his hero. And Peter Morrison saying, Tony, you started the tail Celtic. There you go, Carry away with it, right? David Ferguson.
No, that's it.
Left. And Marky, I'm not crying. You're crying. And Blind is a back coming in saying he remembers when Paul McStay was linked with Fiorentina and he was freaking out. Thankfully, Paul McStay stayed. Yeah, the maestro.
And there was some Fiorentina team at the side at that point. There would have been some Fiorentina. Was it Batistuta that was playing for them at that point?
Well, I think.
Or was that just before?
Just before. because McStay called it a day in '97, didn't he? But he was linked kind of late '80s, early '90s, I think, to Fiorentina, if memory serves. But he was linked with a move a lot, Paul McStay, because he was a wonderfully gifted footballer, you know. So, and
Phenomenal player.
A phenomenal footballer, exactly. So, yeah, but as I say, you talking about, I guess, as the manager said, you'll get a chance on Saturday to celebrate everything that's wonderful about the football club, and against an opposition which you probably wouldn't have expected to face in the Scottish Cup final. But as we've spoken about, you never underestimate any opponent. All this talk of 5, 6, and 7 nothings, that's all fine and well. And you do know that Celtic have the potential in them to steamroller a lot of teams, but it's a cup final. Inverness are their merit, as I've said. So what will happen will happen. But you're going into this in a very confident frame of mind, aren't you? You're not overly confident. You never are, but you're as confident as you can be heading into a Scottish Cup final, playing a championship team who you should get the better of, Ryan. Let's be honest, Celtic should win this game, shouldn't they?
Yeah, and it's a weird situation as well because Inverness actually have been put out of this competition this season, exactly. But because of Queen's Park obviously fielding an ineligible player, they got the bye into the next round, and since then they've kind of been just taking it in their stride and progressing through the round. Some really good results on the way. But yeah, it's one of those ones. I'm not too confident. It's not about the match. It's about the team that I'm confident in. I'm confident in this group of players that can go and get the job done. They've done it whenever they've been asked. When the going gets tough this season, they've always produced the goods. So I would expect them to do the same this time round as well. Yeah, I'm just confident. I'm confident going into the game, but I'm not overconfident. I'm just confident in what Celtic can do as a team, and you're just hoping that the result takes care of itself in the process.
Yeah, Robert Wallace coming in saying Inverness are not played in a month, could work for or against, rested but rusty. Yeah, I mean there's all sorts of variables about that, isn't there, Ryan, that can work for or against you, that kind of thing. So we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite an odd one too because they didn't even make their top four, so they didn't get a playoff place. I know they were quite close to it. It was just the way the results happened on the final day that they didn't get a playoff place. Yeah, it is a weird one. I think it was 28 days between the playoff game or the last game of their league season and this game. So 28 days is a long time. I know they've had a couple. I think they maybe had 1 or 2 friendlies in between, but they're no preparation for. I mean, you can play against whoever, but you're playing against the current double holders, Celtic. It's probably your worst nightmare when you're a bit raw and you're a bit leggy. Yep. You would say you don't have that sort of match sharpness. I think Celtic would be your worst nightmare to play against, a team that's ultra fit and looking to do a treble. Yeah, I couldn't think of many worse teams to play against, especially in Scotland.
Andrew Gillier saying he's hoping for double figures. Game at, so we also know that if Celtic play to their strengths and don't take their foot off the gas, they ought to win. I think that's enough, isn't it? And Kaiser's coming in, confident in Celtic's ability, Ryan, but respectful of the danger of Celtic's opponents. It's a final, anything can happen. Correct, that's the whole point, isn't it? Both teams are there on merit. Inverness have made the most of the reprieve after the Queen's Park registration blunder, so fair play to them. They are there. And Patrick Post coming in saying a hat-trick for Kyogo. Ryan, I'd love a hat-trick for Kyogo because I said he'll get 36 goals this season. He's on 33. So if he gets a hat-trick, then your old dad will be smiling. Let's put it that way.
It'd be great to see.
Yeah, and Edwarbayavos coming in saying he thinks the occasion will overwhelm Inverness if Celtic keep up the tempo. Andrew Gillier saying a couple of early goals and Inverness could fold. Yeah, and I guess I think let's be honest. I think most Celtic supporters, they're not saying anything like it's in the bag, but they're as confident as they could be heading into a Scottish Cup final. Ryan, that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think they'd be confident regardless of the opposition that we were playing. I mean, I know they're lower league, but Celtic, if they were playing a team in the same league as them, as you would probably expect at this stage in the competition, which is all credit to Inverness that they've managed to get to this position. But Celtic would be confident playing against a Rangers, against an Aberdeen, against a Hearts. It's not as if it just changes because they're lower league or because they're in the division below. They'd be confident regardless. So, yeah, Celtic are in a pretty good place with regards to that, and yeah, hopefully they go out and do the job. It's not been big-headed. I think it's just been honest. I think Celtic are expected to win this game and expect to win it comfortably. It's down to finance, down to the players that we can play when compared to Inverness. So yeah, you're just hoping that if all goes well, it'll be a routine day for the team.
It's not been big-headed, it's been realistic, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that word earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Been realistic. The Kaiser comes in and says, for a striker to score 33 goals so far with no penalties is outstanding in his opinion. Could have been an amazing signing.
We've seen why he isn't on penalties.
Yes, exactly.
That one against, what was it, Kilmarnock?
Yeah, Kilmarnock slammed it against the post, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a shocker.
Yeah. As the Scottish world record 36-0, what are the odds? Behave yourself, Marty. And Jerry Smith comes in, cricket score, and all in open play. Kyogo's goals. Yep, no penalties. You've seen there. Yep, indeed. And Blinders are back coming in. Think big O score from the bench. Been so impressed with O. Could you imagine if Scotland had a striker like that at 21?
Mm-hmm, agreed.
We would be going and saying, yeah, they would be. Yeah, he's a big, powerful unit, isn't he?
I've seen enough in him to know that he's going to be a good player. Yeah. He's just got something. There's something there, and we've got to sort of nurture that talent. But I think in the seasons to come, he's going to be a very, very important player for Celtic in Scotland and in Europe.
Yeah. Underwater cabbage salesman. Once Inverness walk out to 40,000 Celtic fans and the atmosphere hits them, they will wilt. Complacency is a killer in football, but Ange ball will be too much for them. There we go. Will Kyogo and AJ make it Saturday? Francis P.C. Green. I don't think the manager was too perturbed or concerned with either or. I think he was kind of pretty confident that the two of them would be there, Ryan. Been no kind of indication to the contrary on that, has there? Yeah,
and even if they are a slight doubt, I think they'll take the risk with them because it's the last game of the season. Ange doesn't really have any allegiance to the respective national teams, so I think he's got to play the most important game is the next game, and if those players are half fit and they can do 60 minutes or 45 minutes, 50, 60 minutes, then I think they'll get risked because there's another 2 months before the season starts again. So yeah, if they're capable, then they will play, I would imagine.
Jerry Smith, cup final will be won in the first 20 minutes.
I'm not getting into that.
No, me neither. We shall see.
I'm still going to be nervous even until Celtic make it 2 or 3-0. I'm always going to be nervous.
You don't get nerves then, you know what I mean? That's purely natural to be nervous on cup final day when your team's involved. Guys, Magic, thank you so much for all your comments. Really enjoyed it. We've had cup final memories. We've had tears for souvenirs, Ryan. We've had Big O chat. We've had Farmers League chat. Can't beat that. You know what I mean? I love
we cover it all.
We've had Yosemite Sam and Tasmanian Devil chat. I saw there Tom Rozic Invincible Goal chat. Hey, I mean, we try to be everything to every man and woman who watches and contributes to the Celtic Way daily briefing. We hope you enjoy it, guys. We'll build it up even more tomorrow. That was a decent first day cup final build up, Ryan. Really enjoyed that. Guys, as always, thank you for your subscription. Thank you for coming into the comments in the chat section. We do our best to read as many as them out, and we feel that we know you. We've built up this cracking wee community, and we enjoy your contribution, and we enjoy the banter, and we enjoy the to and fro, and we just enjoy your thoughts on the club that you love. And if you enjoyed this, then I'll say again, strapline running along the bottom. why don't you take out a subscription to the Celtic Way website, and we'll endeavour to provide top quality journalism covering the club you love, and it's all for the click of a button, guys. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. See you again tomorrow. Ryan, you on tomorrow?
Yes.
In fact, you're all, I might not be here tomorrow because it's his day off, isn't it? There you go. I might not be here tomorrow. Failing that, guys, I'll see you on Friday. But take it easy as we build up to the Scottish Cup final. Celtic Inverness, Saturday, Hampden Park, June the 3rd, 5:30 kickoff, Ryan. We'll maybe talk about that the next couple of days. Thanks for your contribution, Ryan. First class as always. Take it easy, yeah?
Thank you very much.